What are these folks so upset about? Well, I really can't wait to tell you all about it, but first let me introduce myself. Hi folks, my name is Dave Sundstrom, and I consider myself to be something of a pop culture historian, especially when it comes to television from decades gone by. Okay, enough with the introduction. Let's get rolling. Growing up, the animated version of Star Trek was essential viewing for me on Saturday mornings. Even all these years later, I still remember that I would borrow my dad's alarm clock that he would use during workdays to get up for work. I would set it for 6:50 a.m., which would allow me time to head downstairs and warm up the family TV. Way back then, TVs would take a minute or two to warm up. Well, at least ours did. At 7 a.m., Super Friends were on ABC, followed by Lassie's Rescue Rangers, and then I would flip it over to NBC and enjoy the new adventures of Captain Kirk, Spock, Bones, and the rest of the crew of the Starship Enterprise. After that ended, it would be 9 a.m. and I would head upstairs to grab some cold cereal for breakfast. My favorite back then was Lucky Charms. And you know what? I did feel lucky. Very lucky. It was truly a golden time to be a kid. What I didn't know way back then was all of the controversy surrounding the animated Star Trek show. You see, for years, Trekkies, yes, I'm going to call us that, had been clamoring for more Star Trek after NBC canceled the live-action series. However, when it was announced that Gene Roddenberry was reviving it as a Saturday morning cartoon, instead of cheers of joy, there was a tremendous amount of concern due to the fact that Trekkies believed that the show would be dumbed down to make it more palatable for kids. And truthfully, I can see how some of the worries were justified. After all, the show was being produced by Filmation, a studio that, at the time, wasn't known for creating high-quality programs. Now, years later, we all know that Roddenberry, Filmation, and the entire team that worked on the show really rose to the occasion. Sure, there are things that you can quibble about, but all in all, Star Trek the Animated Series serves as an excellent companion to the original program. Most of the actors returned. All of them wanted to, but the budget was somewhat limited, which meant that Walter Koenig was not asked to return. That said, Roddenberry found another way to keep Walter employed. He asked him to write an episode of the show. Speaking of writing, the scripts for the animated series were absolutely top-notch. DC Fontana served as story editor, and she was able to round up some of the best science fiction writers in the industry for a couple of reasons. One, while the show was being produced, there was a television writers' strike going on, and Fontana knew that the writers were still allowed to write one episode of an animated show while they were striking. And the second reason is that these folks truly were excited to be working on a Star Trek project again. Who wouldn't be? I loved that show so very much. I also ended up reading the Alan Dean Foster novelizations. His Star Trek logbooks expanded on the excellent stories, whose only real flaw was the short runtime of a half-hour Saturday morning cartoon. Believe it or not, Star Trek the Animated Series was the first Star Trek television series to win an Emmy Award, when in its second season it received the 1975 Emmy for Outstanding Entertainment in a Children's Series.
And now, this message.
Always after me Lucky Charms, the frosted oat cereal with sweet surprises. Pink hearts, yellow moons, orange stars, green clovers, and blue diamonds. Part of a complete breakfast. Oh, they're coming. I'll make a rocket and fly away. Whoops!
Frosted Lucky Charms.
They're magically delicious.
Thank you all for standing by through and through and through. It's the kind of strength that lifts the shadows too. And all I gotta say is thank you all, thank you all.
Click on that thumbnail 'cause it's time to go. Dave's got the classics, let the memories flow. TV shows and movies that we all hold so dear. On his YouTube channel, he's keeping memories near. Dave's Sundstrom, bringing back the good stuff, oh yeah.